ignore. Just refuse to publish any facts of African history that don't go along with our racial theories.
We need to create a religious and a scientific doctrine so that African slavery won't appear that bad after all.
What we need to do is flood the world with new African histories that contain our European perspectives only.
Start renaming people and places. Replace African names with Arabic and European names. This will disguise their true black identity.
Let's change the criteria for defining race. For example, 1 drop of Negro blood in America makes you a Negro, no matter how light the skin.
Yes, and when reporting ancient African history, reverse the standard. No matter how dark the skin, woolly the hair, or thick the lips, you don't have to be a Negro.
When black contribution to civilization is too obvious, let's find a way to attribute it to outside white influences.
When all the ancient historians contradict your theory, we'll just discredit them.
Slavery. That's the place everybody likes to start Negro history. You have ignorant black men being brought over from Africa in chains. Terrible thing, slavery. But this way slavery is taught, it sort of takes the sting out of it. Because the way it's usually taught, people think that we Afro-Americans started with nothing but little grass skirts like the kids in the Tarzan movies. And though America gave us slavery, America kindly gave us religion and a lick or two of education. And when we get more jobs and more education, then up from slavery. But we had something before we left Africa, something more than rhythm. I mean, we had a high culture. The culture was so high that great artists in the world are still borrowing from it. Now, here's a sculpture by an unknown African artist. And here's what Paul Klee took from him. Now, here's a work by an unknown black African, and Pablo Picasso liked what he saw. Another African design, and Modigliani swiped it, or he was influenced by it, or whatever polite word you want to use. Another black African artist, and Picasso didn't change it very much. I mean, when you look at this copy, you got to give us a little more than rhythm. You got to give us style. Now, if you tell the history of slavery right, you got a big problem on your hands. The slave trader didn't take some savage out of Africa. He took a human being. He sold him like an animal and separated him from his family. America invented the cruelest slavery in the history of the world because it broke up black families. After slavery was over, America kept breaking up the black man's family. And that's some awful history to teach. Now, if you want to look history right straight in the eye, you're going to get a black eye. Because it isn't important whether a few black heroes got lost or stolen or strayed in America's history textbooks. What's important is why they got left out. Now, this country has got a psychological history. There was a master race, and there was a slave race. And though there isn't any political slavery anymore, those same old attitudes have hung around.
There's still niggers in American Army uniforms kissing.
It was said without thinking, painting an entire race with a single word. But it wasn't always a slur. Originally, the Latin Niger just meant black.
Cock-a-doodle-doo, nigga.
But at the dawn of America, Niger became Negar to describe some of the first shipments of African slaves.
What's your name?
Kunta Kinte. My name is Toby.
Aye. That's a good nigger.
And with slavery, the word was contorted into its current, dark, degrading, hateful insult for African Americans.
We are the Ku Klux Klan. We hate niggers. Look out, nigger. The Klan is getting bigger.
Over time, it has appeared in everything from ugly propaganda to cartoons to nursery rhymes. Eeny Meeny didn't always end with catch a tiger by the toe. It was tossed about casually in movies well into the 20th century, part of the way of life, but also sometimes to raise consciousness.
You nigger lover.
And in the civil rights era, the stigma came to a head. Author James Baldwin in the 1963 documentary Take This Hammer.
We have invented the nigger. I didn't invent him. White people invented him.
In the 1970s emerged a new willingness to explore the impact of the word and even satirize it.
And isn't it a lovely morning? Up yours, nigger.
If you two ever really started going at one another, inside of 5 minutes, he'd be calling you...
Don't say it.
Nigger.
He said it.
It hardly disappeared in the 1980s and 90s, though white people rarely said the word publicly. Some black people did, a lot.
It's black people, and there's niggers. The niggers have got to go.
Straight out of Compton, crazy named Ice Cube. From the gang called Niggas with Attitudes.
Cause I never hesitate to put a nigga on his back.
As a society, we've tried to ignore it, ban it, literally bury it.
The NAACP held this symbolic funeral for the N-word.
And we've perhaps added more gravity to the word just by refusing to say it.
Whenever a white lady on CNN with nice hair says the N-word, that's just white people getting away with saying nigger. That's all that is.